This is turning into a pretty incredible event, already with fires and engine explosions everywhere you look. Coming off the starting line, Tobin's machine seemed to be hooking up fine, although it did make a hard left over to the outer berm. He gets out of the throttle, plants his right foot again. You can see that engine cooking. Big block Chevrolet, carbureted with nitrous oxide injection, definitely took the brunt of that heated burn down on the starting line. Then once he gets through into the shutdown area, he throws up the face mask, and you can just start to see the engine oil coming down on the exhaust headers on the left side of the engine. And indeed, as soon as it stopped and as soon as that oil started getting up to flash point, it did. Meanwhile, over the other side of the track, the risky business Jeep of Roger Bozell looked like it had a beautiful run going. This thing skimming the surface exactly the way it's supposed to be done. Textbook pass. And coasting through the shutdown area, stopping well short of that disqualification boundary down on the top end at 2.65 seconds. That'll be the quickest elapsed time so far, Kelly.
Yeah, with Deja Vu, he had a lap time of 2.87 seconds, but I don't believe we'll be seeing him again tonight. Don't go away. We have more super modified mud racing action coming up from the Seattle Kingdome.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Seattle Kingdome in Seattle, Washington, as we get ready to continue action here at the USHRA Association's Camel Mud Racing and Monster Truck National Championship Series, all brought to you in part by Kicker Speakers from Stillwater Designs. We've still got more monster truck racing to go, in fact, the first round of eliminations, but right now we have to continue with super modified mud racing qualifying, which has already proven to be the wildest stuff we've seen in quite some time, Kelly.
Looks like it's going to be some more exciting action. Online right now is Wild Willie, driven by Van Gepsen. And in the other lane is Hocus Pocus, driven by Lyle Hancock.
Van Gepsen out of Utah with the short wheelbase early model Willys Jeep truck. Indeed, is running with a lot more weight disadvantage than most of these drivers would like. This is an honest 2,800-pound vehicle, mighty heavy for this category, where the hitters are weighing in around 1,900 pounds, 2,000 pounds. Creeping ever so slowly to the starting line. Look at Gepsen in the far lane telling his opponent to get up there and stage her. He's going to make a single pass on his own. For some reason, Van Gepsen just can't seem to find the starting line area. He is still not fully staged. Gepsen overheating, finally leaves the starting line on the green light, but runs out of power just before the finish line. Gepsen, in the meantime, makes a clean pass despite that rather elongated starting line situation. When Van Gepsen did finally leave the starting line, it looked like it was receiving power pretty well. In fact, you can even see some tire distortion there as these wheels hit at honest 160-mile-per-hour tire speed. Then motor problems right at the finish line. Not the steam coming out from the opening of the hood, but actually the smoke coming out of the exhaust headers indicated he may have had some problems down past the finish line, but he did indeed shut it down in time.
And he had a lap time there of 3.41, which certainly won't be good enough to get him into the Camel Shootout tonight.
Not at this point. And in the other lane, the Hocus Pocus Jeep CJ Funny Car, despite a little twist there to the right-hand side of the course, indicated no problems three-quarter track. It wasn't until you see the smoke. It's not steam. That's honest engine smoke pouring out from underneath the cowling. Machine way down on power, literally coast across the finish line. When you consider his elapsed time at 3.31 seconds, that was going to be a heck of a run.
Coming up next in mud action is Craig Christensen from Utah, driving out of control. Alongside him is Sharon Tobin, and she's driving high spirits. We saw her husband a little bit earlier. This is the first husband and wife to compete.
That's right. For the first time in the history of the USHRA Association, we actually have a husband and wife team battling side by side. The high spirits, all steel-bodied pickup, leaves the line well behind the Jeep, but the out-of-control machine is just that, and Sharon Tobin gets the victory in this side-by-side battle. Her first side-by-side round win in USHRA Association Camel Mud Racing history. I'll tell you, no question that Christensen had a good run going, but you can see the rear end come completely around here. He's got the steering wheel cranked all the way over. You can see him working in that cockpit, but he had to get in and out of the throttle to keep from going out of bounds, and that certainly killed his effort.
He was definitely out of control, and he had a lap time of 3.80.
Well, while the Chevy-powered Jeep CJ Funny Car was having its problems, Sharon Tobin was on a pretty serious run in the other lane. Considering that this is a 3,000-pound machine utilizing Chevrolet power, she runs 3.29 seconds in this thing. And look at this lady drive. Perfectly straight. She corrects it even with a power drift down near the finish line. This lady definitely knows what she's doing. And as you can see, as she makes it into the shutdown area, she's certainly not having the problems that her husband has been having tonight.
Definitely not. That was an excellent run. But I'm still afraid that her time isn't enough to get her into the Camel shootout.
We've seen Fords and Chevrolets in this event so far, and here's one for the Mopar fans. Out of Idaho, this thing is awesome. A Dodge Dakota pickup with real-life Chrysler power.
This is Chuck Chicarelli in the Down and Dirty. Does a little interesting move there. I don't know if that's really going to help him much in racing, but it is interesting for the fans. Going alongside of Chuck is Captain America, driven by Terry Wilkes.
This is by far the strongest mud racer in the Northwest. This machine won this event 2 years ago. Holds the course record at 2.15 seconds, and without a doubt, this supercharged, fuel-injected, Chevy-powered Jeep funny car is tough. The lady behind the wheel, like you said, Terry Wilkes out of Washington, is indeed one of the finest female racers this sport has ever known. Right now, the #1 spot at 2.65 seconds should be in serious jeopardy. Now, Chicarelli in the far lane with that shortened, radical Dodge Dakota pickup is pretty much of an unknown quantity. Brand new entry in the U.S. Association Camel Tour. I'm interested to see what this little Chrysler wedge-powered machine can do, especially against a machine as all-powerful as the Captain America Jeep. Believe it or not, the Dodge gets the whole shot, but look at Terry Wilkes on the top end, but she just crosses over the disqualification line. What a tragedy for this effort. By far a run that should have gotten her the #1 spot, just an inch or so over that line. You can see her sitting there. She is dejected.
What a disappointment. She had an excellent run.
Terry Wilkes off the starting line. Look at the chassis work on this thing. 2,000 horsepower. She plants it perfectly. Again, the left front tire just grazing the mud pit. A little bit of rough ride down there at the finish line, and that may have been the cause for her disqualification. Definitely bouncing, and when you're in the air, Kelly, you can't stop these things, and she slides across the line just by 2 feet.
I know she's definitely disappointed about that. It was an excellent run.
The elapsed time, 2.28 seconds, would have been good enough for the quickest run of this event. Now take a look at Chicarelli. He was busy plowing through the pit. This machine suffering from a little bit of a ground clearance problem. Can't even see it. Looks like it's been running over landmines down there at the finish line. Finally, the Mopar comes out of the pit. The elapsed time on that run, 3.19 seconds for the Chrysler product out of Utah.
Up next in mud racing action is Matt Holliday driving the Problem Child.
I tell you, if you want to see what the state of the art in mud racing today looks like, all you have to do is look at the Problem Child machine out of Seattle. Short wheelbase, but still that omnipowerful, supercharged, fuel-injected, big block Chevrolet power plant. That is certainly one of the sturdiest roll cages we've seen in U.S. Auto Association competition this year. The safety regulations on these machines make sure that you really have to try to get injured.
Going up against Matt is Bob Moran, and he's driving the Jumping Jack Flash.
Despite this machine's utilization of a carbureted Chevrolet power plant, this little Jeep is actually pretty darn quick. Matter of fact, 2 years ago at this event, Moran was second to the Captain America supercharged Jeep of Terry Wilkes, who we just saw disqualified. It'll take a run right now of 3.19 seconds or quicker to get into the top 4 in this battle. The Problem Child machine with a supercharged big block Chevy power plant leaves the line first, and Problem's big time for Jumpin' Jack Flash. Meanwhile, the Problem Child suffers no problems, but he can't stop the thing down there. Looking behind him, he realizes he's over, he's upset. Matt Holliday is not happy. That disqualification line has been a problem for these people.
I don't know what the problem is. They're having problems stopping, it looks like. It must be awfully slick at the end of the run.
It must be a combination of slick tires and wet brakes. That's all I can figure, because nobody's really crossed it at any kind of speed. I'll tell you, Jumpin' Jack Flash, Bob Moran having all kinds of problems. Look at this guy working for a living in the cockpit of this Jeep. He finally gets it straightened out, takes it across the finish line under power. Certainly he caught the brunt of the mud on this pit. Without a doubt, this guy is wet.
Definitely a rough ride with an elapsed time of 4.13 seconds.
It's not going to help Bob Moran out any. Take a look at the starting line launch for Matt Holliday. This thing is just beautiful. Running a little bit fat. You can see the excess fuel coming out of the exhaust pipe. But again, the front end comes up on top of the mud. Look at that tire distortion. They almost look like they're triangular down there at the finish line. A lot of steam as the mud comes up and hits the exhaust headers, but there were no engine problems on that run. Now, he tries to lift the face mask, and I honestly think that may have been the biggest problem in trying to stop this car. He was so concerned with seeing where he was going, he didn't start the shutdown procedure as soon as he crossed the finish line. Well, boy, he knew it right there.
It was a beautiful run. He had a lap time of 3.10 seconds.
It would have been good enough to get him in the field, but it won't be good enough to get him in the field with that disqualification.